Today we will make a Nurgling, but not just any Nurgling, a Grand Nurgling. A Nurgling that is wearing a wig made out of intestines, and we will use the Grand Justice Gormayne's hairdo thing as a base for the model, and then I will plop it on a Nurgling and see if it fits. And if not, I put the Nurgling on a Nurgling.
Is this a financially smart decision to convert the miniature like this? Absolutely not. I'm taking a $35 perfectly usable miniature here. I just cut a few bits off of it and then I use it on a Nurgling and make a miniature that is not usable in the game at all, but I have fun doing it, so leave me alone, okay? And I can use the rest of the model to make a plague bearer or some kind of character model out of him afterwards. So maybe I do that, maybe not. We will see in the future. I don't know. And if you're really good at sculpting, you can say, hey, Frank, I can do this with green stuff. Easy. I make a press mold. I don't know. I can sculpt folds of intestines with my left pinky finger. Do it. Steal this idea. Do it. Cheaper. Be my guest. It's fun. The world is a little bit better for every fabulous Nurgling out there, so make more of them. So first of all, I tried to fit the wig together, but I had to get rid of that book first. The thing is, most Nurglings are not the bookish kind of guys, you know. They maybe this one. But most of them are voracious readers in another way, if you know what I mean. Books, not made for them. So I had to extract the wig basically from the book and then I dry fit it together. And then I went through all of my Nurglings and looked which one I would take to fit underneath there. And honestly, yeah, I had to take this one from the Nurgling base kit, but I had to get rid of all of his bodies that he's grabbing onto or standing on, and one of them is grabbing the horn and is stuck to his leg. So I had to cut them carefully off. I tried to not destroy the others as much as possible, but if they are destroyed, whatever. The bottom one basically got his face sheared in half and only the mouth remained, but whatever. And then I put him on his own 32mm base just temporarily, and he really gives me the vibes of this old Realm of Chaos cover. I think that's maybe what he's based on. It looks suspiciously like that guy. But the horns unfortunately had to go. And I tried to place the wig on and I sheared off parts of the body and of the underside of the wig bit by bit to make it fit better. So unfortunately both of the arms had to go as well. And the inside of the wig I shaved off a lot of that as well. And then I tried to gradually fit him. But it was an arduous, long process. It probably took me like half an hour or an hour to just fit him to that wig. And the wig was really huge, so I thought, oh my god, it's probably too big to fit on him at all. But this is the result I had after a long time fitting it on him. But he had no arms anymore, and the wig was fitting kind of loosely over him. And I didn't want to cut the wig down further, because more wig is more fabulous, you know? That's just a fact. So I used one arm of him and one arm of another Nurgling to prop up the wig as if he's holding it to fit into shape. He's just like standing there, look at me, I'm so fabulous, and holding that wig up. And it really worked after a while of fiddling around, and I put some sprue goo in the cavity underneath to fill it up a little bit more, give it a little bit more bulk. And he really looks like he's just like posing there with his fabulous gory hair there. So I like it. And not to forget one of his feet was cut off in the process of removing him from his Nurgling swarm. So I had to cut another Nurgling's foot off. I'm sorry to say. Another Nurgling is running around with only one foot now, but he can manage. So that was added to the miniature next. And then I had to add back the horns because I wanted to break up the surface of that gory wig a little bit and have some black horns peeking out of this intestine folds. So Nurgling's basically shoved his horns through that stuff or has decorated it around or whatever. And that was a little bit of a tricky process because the Nurgling's horns are so tiny and it is like protruding from a flat surface. So whenever I touched him, I sometimes bent the horns or I had to adjust them back because they were not fully dried, and I added some green stuff around them to make them fit better. And that was basically a little bit of a nightmare. I should have just drilled 2 holes in and have the longer horns stick into the plastic. So that would have been the smart decision to do here, but I cut the horns off. And yeah, I should have just cut some horns from another Nurgling off, drilled 2 holes, stuck them in. That's it. It's basically something almost like pinning something. But yeah, there was a mistake. Mistakes were made. And when I was painting the miniature, I dried it with a hair dryer, and it was too hot one time, and one of the horns almost melted off completely from the miniature again, so I had to fit it again. So that was my worst decision on the miniature by far. And now it's time to base him. I went for a 25mm base here, and I always use slate on my bases. I like the look of the slate. So I searched through all of my rubble slate stuff to find 2 pieces I could glue together. And I sandwiched them with some green stuff and some super glue to make them stick together. And I had to make the Nurgling stick to the slate as well. So it's a really good idea to use super glue and some green stuff on the feet of the miniature as well. Or pin the miniature, but he's so tiny. He was like almost not possible to pin him at all. I could have pinned him with his belly because I had a pin in that in the process of fitting the horns and the legs and everything to him. But I went for the classic 2 feet on the ground on a piece of tactical rock that you can gaze over the battlefield and see where your next opponent is that you can destroy, as Nurglings do, carefully planning. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, I fit him to the base, and then I just spread some glue around the rim of the base, and you can see here on this shot, oh my god, I bent the horns in. Oh, this is a nightmare. So I had to bend them back and wait for them to dry a little bit again. And then I spread some glue around, added some other splinters of slate around it, and then I dumped the miniature, and I dumped the miniature in some sand next. And then the base can dry for a few hours, and then we can go to spraying.
My little Nurgling is spray primed with sandry dust now, and we can start painting. But before we do that, I will tell you what I will use him for. Nothing really. He's just a miniature. Maybe I put him on another miniature in the future or use him as something else, but I don't really care if I can't use it for 40k because I have so many 40k miniatures. I can play any Death Guard army almost that I want. So a mini doesn't have to have a purpose or anything. Just have some fun. It's just a tiny, tiny little guy. It was pretty expensive because I needed to buy that because I needed that other miniature to complete him. I could have done that with green stuff probably, but I don't think it would have been as cool as with the plastic wig here. It's so much fun to paint little small miniatures like this one because you can knock out the paint job in a short amount of time, and then you have some tiny piece that does not take much space. You can just put it somewhere and in your display cabinet or somewhere else, and it's just fun. I like it. Don't judge me. Okay, let's see how we will paint this guy.
And my Chaos models all have the same base style, so they fit together in a big unified army. So I have to put some Steel Legion drab on the base to make him fit in there. And then I said, it's a Nurgling green on the Nurgling, yeah. So the base body is painted with Nurgling green. And then the little intestine flaps and stuff like that are painted with pink horror. And we go back to the bane of my existence, painting eyes on camera. Painting eyes in general is an absolute chore for me. But painting them on camera makes it even worse. So there you go. I filmed it and I botched one of the eyes, obviously, and I had to clean it off again. But I added some Emperor's Children on the eyes, then some red on the little tongue. And I think I mixed a little bit of the Nurgling green into the tongue color, so it is not too crazy red. And I put some lipstick on him, lip balm. And then some teeth. The teeth got some Steel Legend Rep, I think, as well, or Karak Stone or something like that. And I painted the little wounds he has in red as well, and the fingernails and the toenails in Steel Legend Rep or something like that as well. And then, yeah, the base coats were basically base coated. And then we can shade him. I wanted to make use of that drying time, so I shaded the whole miniature, the base with pure Agrex Earthshade, and the miniature himself with 50/50 Agrex Earthshade Lamia Medium mixture. And I had to wait to dry, and then I washed the miniature again with 50/50 Lamia Medium mixture and Seraphim Sepia wash, and let that dry again, and then we can highlight it up again. So we have the shadows established, and then we have the highlights on top of that. And yeah, that's basically that 3 color method: highlight, base tone, and then shadows. Yeah, easy. And then I highlighted all of those folds of the intestines on the head that were raised areas with pink horror again, to add a glossy point. And then I added some white in that mixture and did it again. And the eyes, I wanted the eyes to really pop and really be bright, so I added some white dots in the center of the eyes, and then I used the Vallejo fluorescent pink on the eyes, put another white dot in and another fluorescent pink, and that made the eyes really really bright and aggressive looking, or demonic looking, because he's a little demon after all, And all of the other areas got a highlight as well. And I mainly used the base color that I used before washing. And then I used a little bit of a mixture of white in the base color, like for the skin, Nurgling Green, for example. And Evil Sun Scarlet on all of the red, because on the red you cannot use that method, because if you mix in white, it is going to be pink. So you have to use another pigment, and Evil Sun Scarlet is a really bright red, and I really like that. And on the horns, I used some Thunderhawk blue highlights, and then I washed the horns individually with Nolan oil again to tie that all together. And on the bases, I have my tried and true method of triple dry brushing Talan Sand, then after that Karak Stone, and then Ushabti Bone. And the skulls, they get a little bit of a white dry brush as well. And after that, the sand that is not like the slate plates that are lying on the floor, the rock or whatever it is, the rock is left in that Ushabti Bone bright finish, and all of the floor is washed with Agrex Earthshade again to darken it down and establish the shadows. And some of the underside of the rocks, for example, are washed in Agrex Earthshade again as well, to have some shaded areas there. But I really wanted the wig to pop more, so I added some Fulgrim Pink highlights on top there, and then I wanted to tie it all together again and added a really Lamia Medium watered down version of Druchii Violet over it to establish a little bit more of cooler shadows there. But the wig was not glossy enough, so I tried Art Coat, that is a really glossy finish, and Stormsheet is more like a half glossy satinish finish, and I used them on the little flappies on the back of the model, and I thought Stormsheet looks better. It's not as glossy, but that is just what I'm going for here. And I want to have a little bit of a contrast of like satin semi-gloss on the top, and then I add some blood for the blood god on the bottom, and that gives it a little bit of a contrast. It looks like the blood from the stuff is like running down towards the bottom of the miniature, and the top has been dried a little bit more. And I only had to paint the base rim in black after this, and I think that is the paint job finished. So the base needs a little bit of little bushes and little moss pads and stuff like that. And then we can show you the final model. Look at this glorious little monster here. Isn't he great? Was a lovely project. Took me longer than I thought for this little critter.
Okay, my little Nurgling friend is ready. He's so fabulous, but he does not have a name. So give him a name in the comments, And I will pick one that I like or has many likes or whatever. And if you want to watch another video of mine, use this one. The algorithm god himself has picked for you. And subscribe by smashing this frog. See you next time. Bye.